So, hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, and it is the Demetra K Show. And yes, we are live. Hello, hello, hello. We are live. We did not do our podcast earlier because Donovan has some things to do. Something with his teeth. He was kind of numb. He couldn't talk, which I was like, yay! But we couldn't do the show. Nevertheless, we're doing a live one here. We may do one later. If not, we definitely will get y'all next week. But anywho, I'd like to say a big giant thank you and welcome to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You are the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, but you are participants because we do share the link so that you can come on and speak your mind or ask a question or whatever it is you want to do. We just ask that you be brief in your commentary to allow others to come up and be able to say what they want to say. Also, I would ask that I can see your face if I don't already know who you are, because I want to cut down on the shenanigans. Also, I'd like to say that the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always strive to do better. With that, we are going to talk about the Congressional Black Caucus spending 8 figures to flip the House from Republican to Democrat. So who's on here? Ambitious Hustler, how you doing? Tanya, how you doing? Nikki Red, what's going on with you? Jamarcus and Dwayne, what's happening? Donovan, what say you? Black America and Olivia.
What say? I say welcome to the Demetra K podcast. You guys, welcome once again. Great topic that we're going to talk about here because it's very important. I remember 3 years ago, when we told people, do not vote for the Democrats, do not vote for Joe Biden, vote down ballot for what is important at the local level. And the first thing everybody talked about was, well, he just got in office. Oh, no, he's not the same guy as he was. This is the author of the 1994 crime bill that is still in effect today, that incentivizes police officers to kill and maim and arrest Black people for the private prison industrial complex, right? None of that's been repealed. And we said, where's the Black Caucus? They're telling us all this other stuff, whatever. Asians got something. LBGT got something. White folks got something. Everybody got something, but the very people that put him in the office, which are Black people. And, you know, the sad thing is, Demetra, you've got people today that I've been saying that they say, well, we don't have a choice. If Trump gets in there, it's going to be bad. So, Biden, he isn't that bad. Isn't he? Isn't he? He's bringing all the immigrants in here. Trump tried to keep all the immigrants out. Biden showed you that if you're a Haitian or if you're a Black descent trying to get in this country, he got a plane waiting for you to send you right back without due process. So a lot of these people are being feared into doing the same thing. And like we told you guys when it came to President Obama, when a president is in his second term, he's a lame duck president. Everything that he promised you that he's going to do, like right now in this election, once he gets reelected, he ain't got to do a damn thing because he can't run for reelection again. So are we going to fall for that? Are we going to fall for it? But in the meantime, you guys, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We're going to give you guys something that the student loan forgiveness program never gave you. We're going to let you hit that button for free. You can hit it for free. We won't even charge you interest on it. As you come in, hit it, share, like. This is an important topic. I believe everybody has something to say when it comes to this topic. So let's get into it, dude.
So, all right. And hello to everybody that came on here. Welcome. So before I was getting ready to come on here, I was like, oh, what are we going to talk about today? And then I saw this article where it says the Congressional Black Caucus, they're wanting to spend 8 figures, which is about $10 million, to try to flip the House, which is now ran by the Republicans. They want to flip it back to Democrat. Now, if they're able to flip it back, they can also secure leader of the House on the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffrey. He can become Speaker of the whole House, right? Which they're also saying would be historic, because he would be the first Black Speaker of the House. You guys remember not too long ago, He came very close, but Kevin McCartney kept, filibustering and going back and forth to where the Republicans finagled it from him. And that's how he, being Kevin McCartney, ended up being Speaker of the House now. So they're saying that they would need to flip about 5 seats in 2024 if they could do that. And so they have fashioned a super PAC called Rolling C. Now, the super PAC is not just for the Congressional Black Caucus, but it's also for Democrats who have an election coming and they might need some money for ads and campaigning and things like that. So it's what they're calling a hybrid type of PAC. But nevertheless, they are going out into Black America, not you, Black America, but they might talk to you too. And they are specifically targeting areas that have over 8% Black voters. So if you live in an area or a city or state or whatever, they have over 8% Black voters that are old enough to vote, rather, then they are probably going to target you. Now, specifically, a woman, and I believe she's in the House, but don't quote me because I forgot. Her name is Nakara Campbell Wallace, and this is what she said. We know that Black voters are the cornerstone of the Democratic Party and protecting American democracy. This will be something where we have an always on effort to empower and mobilize Black voters and make sure that we are reflecting the diversity and amazingness of America. We recognize as Democrats that we can do more and support Black voters who have been the cornerstone of our democracy, have turned out in record numbers overwhelmingly. So this is more so a love letter to make sure this is more so a love letter to make sure that they understand that we are here for you. We hear your interests, and we want to make sure that we're really driving that point home. And then later on in that interview, she says, we protect our own and support our own. And it's like, now that's hilarious. So it's a love letter. So they're going to spend $10 million on a love letter to target Black voters to say, hey, big head, how you doing? Listen, the election, the midterms, and the national election will be in 2024. We need your help. Now, it should also be said that Black voters, in regards to the Democrats, the numbers are declining. So it is said that, I think it was, I don't know, it was like a couple years ago, the Democrats had an 86% approval rating from Black people, but now it's like 61% or something like that. So they realize that they have an uphill battle. Now, within that $10 million spending that they're going to do, of course, they're going to give people money for advertising, right? Well, what does that look like? That looks like a Roland Martin. You guys, you need to get out there to the Black voting and Trump and blah, blah, blah. That's him and the Breakfast Club and all of the other, key players, the Divine Nine, the churches, the NAACP, and everybody else you can think of that's going to be, hey, Negroes, we need you again. They're going to get money to do that, right? So be on the lookout for that. And so for this time that we are here, of course, we'll talk about other things, I'm sure. We want to talk about how do we combat the onslaught of advertising that we are going to see from this super PAC, Rolling C, that's going to target you and you and you and you and you and tell you, suspend your disbelief in that. Forget about the Democrats that have not done anything specifically for you as Black people, even though everybody knows that Democrats cannot be where they are without Black people, right? How do you combat somebody from your church saying, well, you need to get out there because Trump is going to come back in office? What do you say to them when they come and they do that? What do you say when you see Charlemagne or Roland Martin or anybody else on their programs telling you, shame on you, Black people, if you let Trump get in and, you know, all this other stuff. What are you going to say? So let's have that conversation today.
No, Roland Martin would more say like, y'all can kiss my ass if you don't. Yeah, y'all can kiss my ass. Yeah, y'all ain't voting for Trump. His stupidness with that, and that's what they're going to do. It's kind of what Kevin Samuel said in regards to how they use shame. Shame is a thing that they use against us in regards because they know we're emotional people. After what you guys have seen in the last 3 years of the Biden administration, for yourselves, the Supreme Court just struck down Biden's student debt thing. How many of you guys know he didn't even need to go to the Supreme Court? There's nothing that says as by executive action that he cannot wipe away the student debt. He unilaterally has that power to wipe away student debt. But what he did and what he knew was, I'll send it to the Congress to go to the Supreme Court, knowing that it's going to take a few years to get through there and run up there, and knowing it was going to be rejected. That is a power that falls. Ladies and gentlemen, is there not a Secretary of Education?
Yes.
There's a Secretary of Education. Mm-hmm. The Secretary of Education works for who?
The Secretary of Education is supposed to work for the American people.
Right, but he's in the cabinet of the President of the United States.
Whatever president's in office, right.
Right. So if he's in the President of the United States, that gives the president, that's in the executive branch, that gives the president the unilateral power to wipe away student debt, because that falls under his office, not under Congress's office, not under the judicial office. It gives him the power to do that. But we Negroes fall for that. And, you got all these people that were hoping on getting some debt off and all this and all this and all that. And it's just sad. So I hope you guys are going to take heed. How many beatdowns do you guys need to take before you realize you might be on the wrong team? How many losses do you need to take when people are out here showing you in real time what these parties are about? We're not saying Republicans are better, but what party does more damage to the Black community? I'll give you another example, just real quick before we get into the everybody come back on the show. Reparations. It's going to be announced here in California if California is going to go for it or not. If California does not give you reparations, now this has nothing to do with the Republicans. If the Democratic liberal Californians won't approve reparations for Black people, which I don't understand what is taking so long, they're showing you who they are. How many times have they got to show you to kiss their behind, and you guys still support these people? Anybody in the chat, please tell me what is stopping the California Democrats, the Chicago Democrats, the New York Democrats, all of these major city Democrats from stopping giving Black people reparations? Absolutely nothing. But yet we still think that that's the party for us. Again, listen to my podcast, Black Politicians Ain't Shit, and I talk about it all the time.
Yes, indeed. And welcome and hello to everybody that's come on here. We have, at some point in time, we've got to realize our power as Black people. I know we are constantly reminded that we don't have any power, but we actually do have power, because if we didn't, the Democrats especially, they wouldn't be coming after us. And when I say coming after us, they are targeting us in ads and, in the church. They just sent Kamala, if she hasn't already left, on tour per se to go talk to the NAACP, the Divine Nine, the churches, and other Black organizations, and like one or two Hispanic organizations, but predominantly Black organizations. And as I said, to give them their marching orders to tell them what to say to Black people. For instance, y'all remember when Joe Biden was running in 2020 and he, his campaign was really struggling, and then he went to South Carolina and James Clyburn. They haven't talked. I'm sure he, got the little white envelope some way, somehow. And James Clyburn came out and said, basically, y'all need to go and, vote for Biden in South Carolina, actually put Joe Biden back in the game. And so that's what they're doing. They're sending Kamala, who is said to be the first Black, depending on what day you ask her, right? First Black vice president or whatever. So they're sending her out to talk to Black people and, telling them again, democracy's in danger. Y'all need to remind, your folks that they need to do this. And let's keep it a buck. Joe Biden and Kamala, they have some of the worst polling numbers, or actually favorable or unfavorable numbers in modern day United States history in regards to the president and the vice president. So they know that they're fighting an uphill battle for a whole host of reasons. Kamala, she was there for looks, and not just because, how she looks cosmetically, but just to appease Black people, specifically Black women. Her vice presidency has been an epic fail. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, the vice president really don't do much. Well, the problem with Kamala is they tried to have her do too much. They tried to, because typically vice presidents, I would say, don't do as much as Kamala did, or they tried to have her do, but she dropped the ball and it made her look bad, right? It makes her look unknowledgeable and just a whole host of things. The other thing is this: Joe Biden he's older. I was going to say he's very old, but he's older. He's the oldest president in the United States history and will be even older come next year. So many people are thinking, okay, if something happens to this guy, whether he leaves up out of here, he goes to glory or whatever, or he just cannot finish the job, Kamala is going to be next in line. Now, judging off of Kamala's experience or the lack thereof, that freaks people out. And it has nothing to do with her being Black, Asian, or whatever she claims to be. It has something to do with her not knowing what she's doing. For example, she was asked about to describe AI, and she gave this circular explanation, artificial intelligence, and she was just all over the place with it. She had no idea of what it was, and so she does that kind of stuff a lot. Some people say she rests on pretty, but you can't have somebody resting on pretty at the helm of, what they call the world superpower, which is the United States of America. So. Donovan?
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. This is every election's a pivotal election for Black people, because we have to get the right people in there to do our bidding and to get us out of the mud. If you look at what has been happening in the last 40 to 50 years in the Black community, we have regressed exponentially in reverse. I mean, our communities, we don't have communities. Historically Black areas, totally gone. Gentrification has happened. And, the sad thing about all of this is we are standing still and letting it happen as we elect these people who run as populist hood Negroes and Negresses. And then they get in there and they turn into Democrats, which is what you see going on in Chicago with Mayor Brown, or that dude in Chicago. They get in there and then it's all about everybody else but Black. And the question is, when are we going to start saving ourselves? When you're in an airplane, the first thing they tell you is put on your mask first before you try to assist anybody else. Because if you're unconscious, you're unconscious. There's nothing, you're done. Nobody's going to worry about you. So we got to start looking out for ourselves. And I have a lot of Asian friends that, watch the show. They hate the show, whatever. And I constantly tell them, we got Asian friends that do watch, so like Michael that comes on. Until these people start speaking out and speaking up for what is right, like we do for them on a constant basis, things aren't going to change. But we also got to look at our skin and say, just because, the person has the same, skin as us, doesn't mean that they're for us. This election, if you guys have been paying attention, and Trump gets back in there, and I'm not trying to be the boogeyman. Everybody's saying like Trump is going to really, become a fascist. He's going to restrict things and make everything up under his banner. So all these people, Joyless Reed and all these black bootlegs talking about, oh, how horrible it's going to be if Trump gets back in there, whatever the deal is. Horrible for who? We are already at the bottom. When you're at the bottom, there's no other way to go but up. When Trump was in office, how attacked were black people in general by the United States government? If anything, he was worried on that wall, the Mexicans, and all these illegals. That was his focus when it came to generic people. He wasn't focused on black people because, you know what? We're not a threat. We don't have anything. We don't have any wealth. We don't have any power. We have bootlicks in there ready to lick ass every time he says to do so. So we're not a threat to him. So don't let these people fearmonger you into saving the country. For what? What are you going to get out of it? Remember in the movie Glory, and Matthew Broderick and Denzel Washington were sitting by a lake after the battle, and Matthew Broderick wanted Denzel to carry the flag, and Denzel said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And he asking why. Denzel goes, "Well, after this is all over, you go back to your mansion, you go back to your family, you go back to your money. What do we get? What do we get?" And Matthew Broderick's thing was, well, if they win, you're definitely not going to get anything. Well, you can't miss what you never had. You know what I mean? You can't miss what you never had. But notice he asked a Democrat or a Republican, white man, what do we get? He never answered the question. Well, you definitely ain't going to get free. Well, again, when it's all over, well, what do we get? We're doing all this fighting. We're doing all this voting. What do we get when it's all over? Ask yourself that.
Brother Samuel says, Donovan, what do you think was President Biden's aim in going after student loan debt the way he did and not just sign an executive order?
He's playing basic politics. It's ping pong politics because he knows you got a lot of ping pong head people out there that aren't going to do their research. They're not going to hold him accountable. If they had just read his power in regards to student loans, they would have known, hey, you can do this. And that would be the mantra to be at the White House protesting, saying, sign the executive order, calling your representatives and making them sign this executive order. But it's like I always say this, Samuel, and it bothers me. I was talking to a white lady yesterday and I was getting some gas and she's talking about, oh, this and what's going on. I said, yep, you're going to complain and you're going to do all that. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. And that's the problem. We do nothing. But that was all political shenanigans because Biden. Look at your credit cards, everybody. Pull out your credit cards and look at them. Most of your credit card banking is housed where? Dover, Delaware. Some of them are in South Dakota, but a lot of them are in Dover, Delaware. You actually think Joe Biden wants to repeal billions of student loan debt and interest alone against his banking interests? Don't think so. He had no intentions of doing that. And remember, it was 50,000, then it was 10,000. Now, guess what? You get nothing.
Yeah, and and really just to kind of sum that up a little bit more, yeah, it was kabuki theater. He never intended on having student loan debt repealed, like Donovan said. Joe Biden is a corporatist, and he is loyal and beholden to corporate America. He was not going to piss off the bankers because the banker, in theory, a lot of people say, well, you can get rid of student loan debt. You can, but then the bankers are like, you just cut out all of our interest. We make a lot of money on bilking people with student loan debt with interest because a lot of people's student loans are, heavy and on interest. You get rid of the interest, then the loan amount is not that much. So it was just, something. It was the same in the same vein of black people, you stood next to me and I'm gonna stand next to you. That was in the same vein. He never meant any of it. So let's see here. Bees by Dizzy, how you doing? And Jan Michael says restricted. We already restricted across the nation. Lady Blue says, I'm not voting for Biden. He caught me one time. That's it. I voted for Trump before this time. It's between him and maybe the Indian American CEO. I don't know, more to come, but definitely not Biden. So you talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. I would never vote for him. He's running for the on the GOP side, for president, and he like, I don't think any of them like black people, but he's giving like complete red meat to the base of the GOP by, repeating a whole bunch of racist information about black people and, a whole bunch of stuff. So to me, he's just a panderer. I don't know if he really means any of it, but he is trying to get next to white supremacy and saying, see, I know I'm the same color as black people, but I think like you, right? So he's a Trojan horse as well. So be careful. Let's see. Honeydew, and how you doing? He says, Demetria, are you managing both channels? Now Donovan, see why women should submit to us. Well, they're kind of, going on their own from this one thing, but I guess I am managing this stream. Big Rich, he says, my biggest problem with President Biden's student loan forgiveness is that he has to bill in Congress in the 1990s to make it nearly impossible to get rid of debt. Yeah, so a lot of people don't know about that either. It's that whole hope and changey thing, right? With the Obama administration, sell them hope dealers, right? Get people high on hope, but then people get so high on hope, they never really say, well, what exactly does hope mean? Like, can you define it? Nah, I can't define it, but just the thought that you guys thought that it was something, that's enough for me. So it's the same thing. Let's see here. Warren, how you doing? Says, I encourage black parents to watch The Mac with their teenager. Oh, yes. It's one of my favorite movies. And I have watched that with all of my, well, not all of them, the nieces and nephews and my daughter that I raised. Very informational movie, I will say. And I think I know where you're going with that as far as nothing to control a woman's, in that context, a woman's body, but if you have her mind, you can pretty much get her to do anything. So the same thing is true for us. They have our minds, they being the Democrats, they'll get us to keep lining up for more of nothing every time, right? Powerful Empress, you said they're always lying. Yes, indeed. And Ellie B, how you doing? It says, good afternoon/evening. Biden was blowing smoke up people's behinds. He needs to take his stumbling butt home. Dwayne says Vivek is a weird bigot. Yeah, he's very weird. Just odd. It's like, where did you come from? Then somebody accused him of skin lightening, and they put a comparison of his pictures together, and it's like, come on, man. You definitely, took some white tenacious, some black China stuff, I don't know, to get a lighter complexion. And Dorothy says, they say you have to show 20 years of payments of student loan to qualify. So, yep. 20 to 25 years of paying is like the fact that somebody is paying 20 to 25 years of student loan debt that should sound crazy to anybody, right? Like, why is anybody spending that kind of time paying off a debt for education? That's problematic in and of itself, but it's like, just say you ain't gonna do it, right? Right.
And let me say this for my veterans out there, because unfortunately, you guys, I'm sorry to say this. You've got a lot of black people that join the military and are totally ignorant of their benefits and what is coming to them. And I don't mean that to be disparaging. I'm just telling you facts. You're so quick to get out of the military, you do not realize some of the benefits that you have. If you got out of the military and you took in some student debt, even after you left the military using your GI Bill, and you have debt, go to your vet rep and say, I have this debt, have your 214, DD 214 with you. Demetria knows what that is because she's a vet herself. And process the paperwork. You will automatically be forgiven debt of your student loans. Yep.
I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying. And yeah, you're in the military, or you've been in the military, you get your loans forgiven, but everybody ain't gonna go to the military, and
Go ahead.
Everybody's not gonna go to the military for whatever reason. They're not gonna go. And if you're gonna forgive the military or the veterans, you should forgive everybody. I mean, yeah, y'all served the debt to the country, but that doesn't mean just because y'all served the country, going to war and fighting and all that other stuff, that everybody else is insignificant. And we're all American citizens nevertheless. So I get it. yeah, serving in the military is, a good thing for some people, but some people is not.
Right. No, I'm not speaking for that. I'm saying because we got I'm speaking to my veterans. A lot of veterans out there who don't know that they might have some debt out there, and they don't want to deal with stuff. Go to your vet rep, and you most likely will get your student loan things forgiven. Military is not for everybody, unfortunately. So.
Right, yeah, do what you can. Like you said, if you're a veteran and you already have those benefits, yeah, utilize all the benefits you can. I agree with you. It's stupid to have benefits and you won't even go after them. And you know what, though? I will say this, and Donovan, I'm preaching to the choir. There's a lot of our brothers that have been in the military and they got all those benefits and they too doggone stupid. And yeah, I said stupid with my chest. They too stupid to go try to get the money. They get denied once and they like, oh, I didn't go get. It's like, wow, you're a weenie. You're a weenie. It's like if you don't get it on the first time, it's like, well, I'm just not going to do it. Forget it. It's like, come on, man. Shoot. Had it been me, see, I was taught never to leave no money on the table. I don't care if I get denied once, twice. My mom used to always say, go until you get the last no, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of Black men and women, been in the military or veterans, they're leaving a lot of money on the table just because they're lazy, and they want to take the path of least resistance, and it's like I tell some people who are veterans, you think you special? Probably every veteran that's applied for these benefits got denied the first time, unless it was something that was just super provable or whatever. Most of them got denied the first time, and then they kept fighting, and now they're all right. So I was like, I never understand that mentality.
Yeah, a good example. Jay Bubba says, I tried that. They told me I had to be 100% disabled. I'm only 70%. Jay Bubba, put in the chat, what state are you from? Because that does matter as well. And because that's bullcrap. If you were retired honorably, you can get your student loans forgiven. And I'm asking, the reason why I'm asking for your state is you got a lot of veteran state workers that know that this program exists. Come on, you guys, let's wake up here. You don't think that these white supremacists that work in these establishments want to see you get your debt forgiven? This is the episode of Roots, at the end of the Roots, when they won the Civil War and they went into the store and they were like, hey, I want to be served. And Lloyd Bridges was like, oh, look the audacity of these Negroes, blah, 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 blah. And they came up with a plan to a sharecrop. That's where the sharecropping thing came, to keep us on the plantation and stuff. So Jay Bubba, don't take no for an answer. See, you're in Texas, so I don't know who you talk to, but it's obvious that person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So what I would recommend for you to do, Jay Bubba, is get your veterans book. There's a pamphlet book that tells you all of your benefits from that state as well as from the federal government. And you should be able to write your student debt off. Now, there's certain student debt that they won't write off. Like if you're doing a doctorate's degree and stuff, they won't write that off. But up until your undergraduate, they will write that off, your initial. So yeah, and then go talk to another a vet rep, and that should. But if you're talking to one of those good old boys, they're gonna make it all sound good. Yeah, brother, we brothers. Yeah, everything good. Girl, this little Negro came in here trying to get them benefits, and look, just like I knew they always would. You tell them no, they just walk away. Demetra will tell you. What happens when these people tell me no, Demetra?
You go and get a yes. That's what you're supposed to do. Top notch rocker. How you doing? Says Demetra. How did you miss what Donovan said? I didn't necessarily miss what he said. I was addressing about how he said, and I'm paraphrasing. Some people talk about not going into the military, and this is not a conversation that's new to Donovan or I. So I heard what he said, but thank you very much. Trying to keep me on my toes. Emmett, he says, I wish that GI Bill was limitless. And Fabio, how you doing? Says this guy reminds me of Paul Mooney. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, we got to be alert. And I'm not talking about us, but I'm just talking about Black people in general, since we know that we are going to be targeted. And it's nothing new. They target us all the time, but it's like now we're in the age of knowing for real, right? Like we really know. We've seen a lot of evidence of the Democratic Party Not that they have been, but even in modern times, the last couple elections, and really after Obama, right? Just dogging black people and doing us like real dirty. And they'll continue to do it. And the unfortunate part is, and now we know that black politicians, they don't go to, they say they're going to Washington to help black people, but we know once they get in there, they help everybody else. But the Congressional Black Caucus, they have the audacity to make it known that they're coming out to try to rally up the black base again. We need them. But it's like, Hakeem, if you become Speaker of the House, what are you going to do with that power to help black people? Now, he's in New York, and I'm sure some people say, well, he's done something, but I'm talking specifically for black people. When y'all go out and use this super PAC money to target black voters, what do black voters get in return? They haven't answered that. They just talk about writing a love letter to black voters, and and it's just a bunch of nothing. Just a bunch of nothing. They've answered no questions. They're just letting people know they're going out there, they're getting boots on the ground, and they are going to target black voters. But in that targeting of black voters, somebody said, I think it was Olivia, if she gets a mailer, are they going to say, hey, black people, how you doing? If you show up to vote, we're going to I ain't talking about no HR 40, this the study of reparations. We're going to get reparations. We're going to do all we can to get there. Are they going to say any of that? They're not going to say any of that. They're just going to say, we need your help. Democracy's in danger. If you don't want Trump to come back, and I'll be honest with you, I've spoken to a lot of black people that said if Trump gets on the GOP ticket, which it sounds like he might, right? Because he's the front runner, they said they're going to vote for him. And these are people that I've spoken to in the past that were staunch Biden supporters, staunch Democrats. And they have said, I am not voting for the Democrats anymore. I won't make that mistake again. And y'all don't think the Democrats know that? They know that. They've seen the dip. They see the conversation online and everywhere else that black people are just like really, we've been disenfranchised, but now a lot of black people's eyes are really wide open to the treatment that we've been getting. So they know they're in trouble, and I think it's going to be $10 million kind of wasted.
Yeah, statistically, they did a analysis of the last election. Black voting actually dropped in the last election overall. Yes, women overwhelmingly voted 98%. Men overwhelmingly voted 97%. But the millennials and the ones that are younger, they didn't completely tank, but they didn't get those things. So it went down, and they based it also on the midterms, when the midterms recently hit 2 years ago. So when they looked at that, come on, when your boy Warnock couldn't beat Herschel Walker, they see the numbers and they're afraid right now. They're afraid. There is our power in holding these people accountable, because they know, come on, you guys, you can't beat Herschel Walker. You had to go to a primary runoff because you couldn't beat Herschel Walker. And we know Herschel Walker suffers from CTE. He couldn't beat him. So yeah, the numbers are going down because people like you guys are opening your eyes and you're sharing the platform and you're hitting that like button, and it's getting out there because people are like, wait a minute. Yeah. The LGBT gets something. Asians got something. The people who illegal migrants are getting something. What are we getting? Homelessness, all this other stuff. Sad.
Yeah, so I want to address these two. Pinky says DeSantis 2028 make America sane again. Let me tell you something, okay? Ron DeSantis would be the worst person to run to win the presidency, to run in a way. He would just be the worst person on earth. Not because he's a Republican, but because he is even trying to undo some of the things that Trump did. So he's running way to the right of Trump. Now, a lot of people think Trump is bad enough, right? But did y'all know that in Florida, he signed into law that it only takes 8 out of 12 jurors to decide on a Capital One trial? So they don't need 12 jurors. It doesn't need to be unanimous. It only needs to be 8 jurors to decide if a person is guilty or not in regards to the death penalty. Now, y'all know who's predominantly on those death rolls? It's us. So who is he doing that for? And a whole host of other things. He's trying to repeal the First Step Act. Trump put that in play when he was in office. And that's, to let nonviolent offenders out of prison who have gotten unfair sentences for whatever reason. And a lot of those people have been Black people. DeSantis wants to repeal that. Of course, and I don't care about it, but he doesn't want African-American studies to some degree, I would say a large degree, to be studied. But he said he's going to mandate that Asian American studies go forth in the state of Florida. So when we think about somebody named DeSantis, we also got to be very careful because he is not all there. And also want to address this comment here. Shiloh, how you doing? It says, what demographics of Black Americans typically vote for the demo demons by age, state, education? Where can I find out? So there's a place called Black Demographics. I don't know if they've updated the information, but it will tell you those things. But I will tell you, he says what demographics of Black Americans typically vote most for Democrats. It's I would say women by a small amount. So it's not like Black women vote to the tune of 100% and Black men 80. It's like maybe 92 women, 88, 87, somewhere around that neighborhood. Black men, age-wise, what I understand is typically like the baby boomers and around that age demographic, because in any race, they tend to vote more, right? Because they're a little bit more abreast, so they think they are voting. And then you say by state. Oh, wow, that could be any blue state, really, I would imagine, California and, any other blue state. So, yeah, you can always find that kind of stuff out. In education, I would tend to think it's people who probably have degrees, college degrees.
Well, I know we throw a lot of negative stuff about candidates, but we're all, we're kind of, I think, fair and balanced here, Demetria. Would you agree?
Yeah.
One of the things that I would say that the DeSantis has done that most men would think is very positive. He repealed the Forever Alimony Act. He signed the bill that said that there is no longer in Florida forever alimony. And now you have long-term Republican women switching parties, and you also got to ask yourself, when a person can switch parties so easily, that's very questionable, because if you're a starch Republican and a conservative, how do you go over to a party that is very liberal and whatever goes? You know what I mean? All because, your money's being done. So as a man, I think by him doing that act is making it a little bit more fair, because, we want equity between men and women, right? So I think that's the first step to do that. Now, a lot of women aren't going to like it, but there you go. There's a positive that I think that he did to bring equity into our society.
Yeah, I mean, it's cute, and I guess I like it or whatever. However, you know who you sound like? You sound like your Bernie Sanders and your Congressional Black Caucus. Well, I went along with the crime bills of '94 because it said something about protecting women. So that's really why he did it. I know we threw Negroes under the bus to do it. But it was, it was like, what we were going to do? Were we going to just leave women out there? So that's why we agreed. We didn't agree that crack was worse than, or whatever, it was, that wasn't the 94 crime bill, Clinton, because it said it had protections for women. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff we really got to be diligent about and not go for well, he did do this and then negate that. Because I'm going to say this is going to sound real jacked up. And I'm not a DeSantis fan at all. I'll just keep it real with you. But this is where you have to say, do we save some money? If, let's say he tries to implement this stuff on a national level, if he gets in, do we save some money and people not have to pay alimony until somebody gets married or dies? Or do we sacrifice life because he is now making it mandatory on the federal level that only 8 jurors out of 12 need to come up with a guilty or not guilty, especially with the death penalty. So we got to be careful of, well, that looks good. So I'm willing to kind of overlook the other stuff. We got to get knowledgeable about what these people are talking about.
Well, let me ask you this though. Okay, since you brought that up, are you for him ending forever alimony? That's just the question.
I like the idea, and I mean, I don't pay alimony, and I don't like the idea of somebody having to pay that until somebody gets married or indefinitely. No, I don't agree with that. But you know, it's like saying, take this vitamin that's dipped in cyanide. It's gonna help you on one end, but it's probably gonna kill you on the other. So it's like, what kind of choice is that really?
Well, I mean, you know, two things could be true at the same time. So that's one bill, and the other bill that you're talking about is something else as well. So I mean, bringing the equality and helping, because a lot of women don't see it this way, and I know a lot of women are against it and stuff like this. But if a man has to pay forever alimony and he's in his 80s and he's got to pay that bill, and then his health starts failing and all that other stuff, you got to take into account this guy's quality of life as he gets older. So we need a little equity upon that, because women are always talking about equity, and I get it. Now, when it comes to the death penalty and cases and stuff, yeah, that's a totally different subject to where yeah, it should be universal, unanimous decision in a death row case and stuff like that. That's absolutely correct. But my point was, there are some things that he does right, and this is our problem. We always want one party, no matter what. Oh, you just do this party, whatever. We've been voting Democrat 60 plus years blindly and getting not a god dog on thing for it. What we're saying is, you can't say, well, what I'm saying is, you can't say everything the Republicans have on their platform is bad. I'm very pro-life, so I'm for pro-life. You know, I'm very, this, that. I'm pro-family. I'm pro-family. That's just, how I am. Getting married and having the family and doing all that other good stuff. So do the Democrats have some good things? Hold on. Let me think about it. As far as Black people, hold on. Let me think about it. What has the Democratic Party done for me as a Black man in my lifetime? Can't think of one thing.
Hello, just me. I mean, I hear what you're saying about the alimony, but you made the assumption that it's just men that pay alimony. It's when you said men. You said
well,
men.
Yeah, because in general, men pay
right,
it. But yeah, we know it's women too.
Right. Yeah. So to say that he is doing something in a way just for men, there's a lot of women that pay alimony as well. So again,
no, I said it's equity. He said equity. I said equity.
You know what the problem is I'm not saying you're a bad person. It's all right not to be perfect. Listen, I know that I'm perfect and everybody else is not, but I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. Now what I'm saying is, I just want to kind of bring it balance. That is not just men that pay alimony, although I know it's probably predominantly men that pay alimony, but it's not just men. And so when I think about that law, I know I guess I could speculate what he was trying to do. And that's because he says, I'm probably going to tank my campaign with this law. He said that. So he's cognizant of that. But I think what he is trying to do is sure up the vote, probably predominantly from men from all walks of life. Because what man is not going to want to say, hey, I've been paying Bessie, the alimony for 20 years. And if he, could do this, and then I'll be winning. So he's probably thinking they're thinking like you. Well, I don't like the other stuff he's doing. However, this is going to benefit me. But like you said, it's going to cause, since it's predominantly men, not all men, it's probably going to cause women to say, well, I was going to vote for you, but then now you're taking money out of my pocket. And so I don't want you, on a national level doing that. Now he could do that, I guess, in, passing in Florida because he's the governor or whatever. But yeah, that would be a problem if he tries to pass that on a federal level.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. What I'm saying is, I didn't say that he's going to do that on the federal level. I'm saying what he did in Florida is one thing that is something that if you would look at a person, this would be something you would say, hey, that's a good thing to bring equity across the board. People that are adjudicated to pay alimony should pay it, men or women. But I don't think a woman, if she's adjudicated to pay alimony, should pay it forever. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Nor should a man do such. So, but my overall point, Demetra, was we got to stop in the Black community just giving 100% of our damn vote to one party that doesn't do a damn thing for us. Like I said, I could reach into the Republican platform and pull things out that might be beneficial to me and whatever. And back 60, 70 years ago, you had moderate Republicans and Democrats that didn't tote this party line bull crap. We as Black people, just like Malcolm said, we are the deciding factor. If we would just put our things like this, like Ice Cube has been saying, and say, hey, we're going to talk to both sides. Whoever's going to give us the best deal, that's who we should go with. That's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be just universal. I'm a Democrat. Like I said, I'm a recovering Democrat because I figured this out a long time ago.
Absolutely. Brother Samuel says, do you feel the CBC feels powerless and only look for symbolic victories and seek the bag? Otherwise, what power do they really have? And what would you counsel them to do? And the answer is they have no power. They are there as talking heads. They are there, partially because we as Black people and other people that live in their districts help get them in office, and they've, of course, said they were going to do things, bring home the bacon. And, Maxine Waters, when she was in her prime and she was running, she told the lie that she was going to Washington to get reparations, and she ain't really talked about it since. So I don't know if that they feel powerless. I just think that they don't have a reason to help us. They do, but for example, when it comes to other groups of people, white people ain't gonna have nobody in office that they sent there for too long if they ignoring their needs. Asians won't do it either. Hispanics won't do it either. But us, we'll send people like Maxine Waters and Sheila Jackson Lees and James Clyburn, to Washington for 30, 40 years, and they've done nothing specifically for Black people, but they've done it for everybody else. So it's not that they feel powerless, because the other thing too is they get in the bag for themselves. They have totally been financially enriched in every way, shape, and form. So all they know they got to do is just lie to us, and they'll be right back in there, and they'll get all the benefits and the favors, and the lobbyists will come. So it's not that they feel powerless. They just don't care. It's what's in the
How did you leave my girl Corrine Brown out? Yeah, how do you leave her out? Go get him, Gator. Go get him, Gator. Get him, Gators. Right. Women went to prison. Backed Hillary Clinton wholeheartedly when she was going through her trial and needed a reference. Hillary Clinton didn't even show up. Sheila Jackson Lee didn't show up. They didn't even bother to send a letter. That lady went to jail for what, 2.5 years? Something like that?
Yeah, buying Beyonce tickets and a whole bunch of
seats at the Washington games and stuff like that. Yeah, it's sad. It's a sad situation.
King of Sorrows, you asked a great question. The real question is, are we willing to vote against Black politicians who do nothing for us on the local level? And the answer is hell to the no. We not. When I say we, I mean overall, we're not, and we haven't, because what's the name of that movie with was it Eddie Murphy? Was it Eddie Murphy? That's the name,
Distinguished Gentleman. Classic movie. Classic.
It's the name, you know Maxine Waters, right? Maxine, I'm reclaiming my time. And then every Negro, they don't know nothing about her policies, but they know she reclaiming her time. And it's like, well, do y'all even know why she said it? Why she's reclaiming her time? No, it's just sound bites. And so, no, we're not willing to vote against them, because we think if they're Black, we got to vote for them just on the strength of them.
They're going to look out for us, yeah, like they're supposed to. But another thing is, Maxine is very famous for the audacity of WAP. I'm with Megan Thee Stallion and the audacity. I think it's so women empowerment to say that you're WAP. I gotta have WD-40 to have my WAP like that. It's sad. It's just sad. And she's a silent generation person.
Hello, Michael. And I see some of you gentlemen taking exception to me saying that is not just men that pay alimony. If it's 20%, if it's 5%, if it's 2%, it's not absolute, and that is all men. And so what I need you gentlemen to do, can't tell you what to do, but it's come up out of your emotions, brother, and think logically, right? Think logically. Stop getting so, as Monique say, tender. Stop getting tender. Come up out your feelings. That's what's wrong with us as Black people too. We so emotional. I just feel, I'm feeling a certain type of way. Well, what you said is, I said what I said. It's not all men that pay alimony. And I wanted to make sure that that was known, and that is not at all and no women paying alimony. There's a lot of women paying alimony. You know, I conceded that it was predominantly men. However, there are women too. So, yeah. What did they say? What was a league of their own? There's no crying in baseball. There's no crying on social media. And I'm gonna put the link in here too if y'all want to come up here and y'all want to, speak your piece. Anthony, how you doing? It says Biden and the Democrats have been slapping Black folks in the face for decades, and they're going to keep doing it as long as we let them. Warren, yes, you said it. Malcolm X was right. Yep. Voting for the lesser of two evils is, still voting for evil. Neither one of them, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that as well. We have no business. You said this here. We have no business even trying to be arguing about who's in the White House. We need to do for self, right? We need to do for self and stop worrying about some white man or whoever in the White House rescuing us. We need to save ourselves. So absolutely. Kimmy, how are you doing this fine, hot evening? Jan Michael says, if you first hear no, keep talking until you hear yes, reparations. Absolutely. L Boogie, how are you doing? Pinky says, CBC, NAACP, Urban League, and Reverend Al Sharpton already forgot about us working for melanated immigrants and helping Ghana get paid the reparations that America owes us. Yeah, I mean, all those people you mentioned, they're getting a bag. Some of those organizations were started by white people, and they still have white people within those organizations at the helm. And somebody brought up Malcolm X. Malcolm X told us to ask why white people want to be at the helm of Black organizations, and why do we let them? You know what I mean? So Warren, you says you're down with Auntie Maxine. Okay. And let's see here. My business, how you doing? You say, so are you saying that Maxine needs, 30 weight oil synthetic to obtain a WAP? Lord have mercy. Yeah, that's what she was when she was interviewing Megan Thee Stallion. She said, I love it. It's the audacity of WAP. And it's like, come on, Maxine, you're like, come on. That's one of the most disgusting songs written ever in the history of music. And you know damn well you shouldn't be talking about it's the audacity of WAP, and women's freedom and all. This is like, come on, man, stop. Mr. Pyburn says, oh, Lord, Demetra is reading us. All right, please don't go to Dubai. I love you. All right, okay, it's time to click the link. It's time to click the link. I'm ready. I'm ready. I have got my green tea right here. It's superpower. I'm ready for y'all to come on here. Hold on. Put the link in the comment section. Make sure if I don't know who you are already, show me your face or you ain't coming up here. And then when you show me your face, then you can blank it out or whatever and then say what you got to say. But here we go. Oops. And let's see, DJ PD, if I didn't already, how you doing? It says, if these Black politicians are not going to do anything for the community then why keep running for re-election? Quit wasting our time. Go the hell away. Well, come on now. You know why they waste our time? Because they know we gonna listen to, the old talking heads, the gatekeepers, Y'all got if you don't vote, you can't complain. Or the ancestors, they died for your right to vote. And if you don't do it, you just, how dare you just let it. First of all, we didn't do nothing to the ancestors, okay? Put the blame where the blame was due. Second of all, the ancestors did not die for the voters. Dr. Claude Anderson say they were murdered. Also, the ancestors did not die for us to go in there and just check off the box. They died for us to move the ball, and we have not moved the ball since the 1960s, since the ancestors did. Whether we like what they did or not, at least they did something. But for people to try to hold you hostage emotionally by telling you didn't vote for that, it's against the our ancestors and all that other stuff. Get out of here with all that. Michael, I'm gonna bring you up. What's on your mind briefly?
Yes, how you guys how you guys doing today?
We're doing fabulous. How about yourself?
Not bad myself. So yeah, I just mentioned, yes, to answer Donovan's question, how do the Democrats were able to capture majority black votes, even though the number of black people voting for Democrats is dipping? It's because a lot of the corporate Democrats use fear tactics, and this is something that the Republicans could learn from Democrats if Republicans want to gain, the support among black voters. Like always study always study your enemies like strengths and limitations, and turn those limitations into strengths, and emphasize, like I said, emphasize entrepreneurship, etc. And I just want to make this quick. Dr. Cornel West, want to give you an update. So he did talk about reparations on the Karen Hunter show, if you guys are very familiar.
You said, Karen Hunter,
Yeah, so Dr. Cornel West did talk about reparations, but I'm not sure if he talks about like what forms of what forms of reparations look like moving forward. And I feel like Dr. Cornel West, if he wants to capture more black voters going into the 2024 presidential race, I think he'll be wise to go in depth that yes, reparations are needed for Black American descendants of slavery, but he needs to also address like what forms it should take. And I think if I were him, he needs to like say yes, I need to give. If I really want my brothers and sisters to succeed in this country, who built this country from bottom to top involuntarily, he needs to say yes. We need to give our cash-paying reparations to Black American descendants of slavery immediately once I become president of the United States, if he does win.
So, and hello, Anita and Pam and Jamin. How you doing? Well, I would say this about and Sean, how you doing? Dr. Cornel West. Dr. Cornel West. I mean, if you aren't really serious about the results of the election, he's a good protest vote. But Dr. Cornel West did say that he is also running to be a voice for his white brothers and sisters that Trump disenfranchised. He said that. So it's like, I don't know how necessarily if he is for black people all like that. Because when I heard him say that, I was like, hey, you said that you were running to represent the white brothers and sisters that Trump forgot about. It's like, okay, who sent you, Negro? Who sent you? So
yeah, his whole platform is an everybody platform type situation.
Well, yeah, and he was a Bernie Sanders supporter, staunch one, right? And he supported Bernie Sanders, even though Bernie Sanders says that he does not believe in reparations for black people, even though he was sitting in Congress when Biden and Obama gave the Jewish community reparations. So, Dr. Cornel West is a smart individual. So I just fail to believe that he is not well abreast of the reparations for black people. So that's what I'm saying about when we hear about candidates, we got to know both sides. But I've always said, yeah, I think, Cornel West will be a good protest vote because he's not going to win. And that's a good way to say, hey, you know what, Democrats or Republicans, I'm sticking it to both of y'all and I'm just throwing my vote away.
Yeah. And then if you look at most of our intellectuals in the black community, for 30 or 40 years, they've been silent. They've been telling us to go over here. These are supposed to be the talented 10th people. These are supposed to be the people that are intelligent. But they're telling us, oh, Bill Clinton, he's going to be the one. Oh, my gosh, Bill Clinton. Oh, John Kerry. Oh, we got to do this. And every time it's this fault, it's that fault. These are supposed to be the people that are supposed to be the intellectuals that are supposed to know politics or whatever they're supposed to know and lead us, to greatness. And they've been wrong. They've been wrong for over 60 years. while they go get their jobs, they go get their pundit seats, while they go sit at MSNBC, Melissa Harris Perry, PhD, and then when they use them up, they throw them out. I mean, it's the same game. And, you know, at the end of the day, when it's obvious that he's not going to win, he's going to tell you guys, vote for Biden. You know, yeah, this is that. He may be not popular, but I'm going to support Biden because, and that's what's going to happen. And I predict that.
Absolutely. So, Brother Michael, you got anything else to add?
Yes, I do. Yes, there are a lot of things I want to add, and also there's actually another third-party candidate who's running on reparations, and yes, she does. Yes, her platform's on everybody, but she also includes a Black agenda. It's reparations. Her name is, I'm trying to remember.
Marianne Williamson.
No, not Marianne Williamson. It's another. It's on the Sabi Sasso last week.
Really?
I'm trying to remember. It's been, I think, I'm trying to remember. She has a lot of platforms, really does, and it's very, very specific. And she goes on. If I remember the name, top of my head, I'll definitely let you know. But anyway, she's a third-party candidate. Independent. Let me say this: independent, running for office 2024, and saying that Black people built this country from bottom to top. That reparations need to be paid out in cash payment, and the amount she proposed, like $192,000 per Black American descendant of slavery. So that number is way too low. It needs to be higher. It has to be at least, $800,000.
It's a good starting. We'll take it if it's the starting payment. We'll take the starting payment, but we need more. Yeah.
Right. And then the issue, and then one of the audience asked her, "Do you support giving land in addition to cash payment reparations?" And her response was, "Indigenous people deserve their land." And I was thinking about Black Americans since slavery built this country up. They were working on a cotton field. They also get land in addition to cash payment reparations. And this third-party candidate, she was very feisty in her response. But I'll let you guys watch the clip to get an idea or context.
All right. Well, if you think of her name, put it in the comment section. But I'm gonna let you go so that Mr. Pirate Brain can get this work. All right, Michael. Please come back and see us again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
I'm ready for it. Get me to work.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
You know, I wanted to address what you were just talking about, the Cornel West. Have you seen that interview? I think it was back in the 80s or early 90s with him and Sister Soldier were on, I don't know if it was Donahue or one of those talk shows, and she was just going at it and he couldn't hang with her. She was just reading him his rights. And he's been with this love all people thing for all of his life. He's just the wrong person because they're not loving us back. So this every time he opened his mouth, my white brothers, my Mexican sisters, it's sickening almost to the point. It's not that I have nothing against them, but where's the love for our people? It's like it's like he's not focusing on us. And this is the problem. So why should we go and vote for him where he's not offering us anything? It's always, but let's not forget about my white brothers over here, my Mexican people that's crossing the border. It's too much. He's just pandering. And if we vote for him, he's going to do just what you said, Dimitri. He's going to lose, and he's going to say, well, we need to vote for Biden.
Yep. And yeah, so Cornel West has always kind of been like that, the free hugs or whatever the case is type of person. But it's like, come on, man. Is you serious or what? You're like, well, what are you doing here? You're too old to be playing games at this point. And so he is for the people that are not politically mature, but feel like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't vote for Biden because, he hasn't really done nothing for Black people. But I know I ain't going to vote for Trump. Now, especially coming up in the 90s, Dr. Cornel West was everywhere, right? He was kind of considered Black intellectual royalty during those times, along with I just slipped my mind. Your Michael Eric Dysons, and they were all there with the contract, the Covenant. I think it was Tavis Smiley's whole little thing. So he was kind of looked at it that way. But then when you look at him with a new set of eyes, it's like Dr. Cornel West is talking Black, but he ain't all the way walking Black. So we just got to be cognizant of that. But on to other things, Mr. Piper Brand. I ain't forgot about what you said in the comment section.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you were reading us our rights. Yeah, but no. Here's the thing. You're right about there's women that are paying alimony too, but the problem is most women will not marry down. Men, if I meet a beautiful woman at the drive-thru at McDonald's, I'm gonna shout her out, and if she treat me right, yeah, we can take this all the way to marriage. A woman will not meet a guy at McDonald's, no matter how handsome he is or how nice he is, and will not marry him. Most women marry men that are making more money than them. Not all, but most will not. So most women will wind up not paying alimony. And I'll even go so far as to say the only time I see women paying alimony is when they marry a white man, because they'll marry a white man that ain't making as much money as them. But Black men, very few will they marry. And take what's the woman that played on Criminal Minds and was on one of those talk shows? She married a white guy, and
Garcelle Beauvais or whatever. She was on the Jamie Foxx show as well. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, she's on Criminal Minds, and she I forget her name. She was on one of those talk shows. She got divorced from her husband, wound up having to pay him alimony.
That's what I'm talking about. I want to say, did she play Fancy on the Jamie Foxx show? And wasn't she also on one of those housewife shows or something like that?
She might have been. She was the only one that was on Friends. The only Black person that was on Friends.
You're talking about the comedian. She was a comedian, and
yes.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she was the only one on Friends. The only Black person.
Aisha.
Yeah.
Yes. Her. Yeah. And I mean, that's just one example.
Aisha Taylor.
Aisha Taylor. That's just one example. But for the most part, men are the ones that will wind up homeless paying alimony. There's so many examples of men that wind up homeless because they can't afford to get an apartment after they pay an alimony. And very rarely will you hear that of a woman.
Yeah, and real quick, a lot of people get alimony caught up with the divorce settlement. The divorce settlement is different than the alimony. Usually,
exactly.
When you go through it, the guy, they split the house. Here's the divorce settlement. The guy got to pay half the divorce settlement. Then you got to pay child support. That's a second aspect of it. Then there's the alimony. So the guy is usually left penniless, if anything happens.
Right. The guy's left with nothing. And most of the time, women don't wind up in that predicament. And that's the thing that's so bad about the alimony, and why so many men are just kind of fed up with it, because it's not fair that you can't live after the divorce. That's an unfair situation. It shouldn't be where you just can't survive after it, and that's unfair.
They don't look. They don't care about what's unfair. It's all about getting that money in the bag, because there's even been legislation that they've been trying to pull in some of these local state houses, to where you literally have to have a legitimate reason to get divorce. You just can't say, 3 years I'm out. I don't follow this young lady. Her name was Grande. She just
Ariana Grande.
Yeah, she just married this guy during the pandemic or something because, you're in the pandemic.
Yes, yeah.
Company. Now, all of a sudden, she's like, oh, I don't want to be in this no more. But wait. She has an ironclad prenup. But when a man has an ironclad prenup, it could be challenged. Like in Tyrese's case, it's just, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's not fair. And I just think that they need to stop with it. It needs to go back a few decades. Well, you know what? Ever since Kramer versus Kramer, that's when this all started. Where, well, I'm just tired. I don't like the marriage anymore. It's unfair. If you're not getting beat up, you shouldn't be able to get divorced. It should have to be to the point where
let's say you just get tired of the marriage, you want out. Okay, you are free to be set free. But as far as support, no, you shouldn't get that because you're wanting out for no apparent reason.
Right. And I think that would be fair. And here's another thing. It's gotten to the point where it's destroying our society because men are not wanting to get married. They're saying, nope, this is a bad deal for me. I'm not going to do it. And now it's even getting to the point where men don't even want to have children. So the society can't stand if you can't have a family unit because it all starts with that.
I hear what y'all saying, and I'm not saying that people should have to pay alimony indefinitely. I think it's wrong. I think it needs to be a time limit. I think, hey, 2-3 years, get on your feet, maybe go back to college or whatever, but I don't think a person, because there's a lot of cases where people who are paying alimony, they now have another wife or a husband and they're still paying alimony to the ex, if it worked out that way. And so it's like, a lot of cases they're paying, kind of like for two households. So now I don't agree. I don't agree that should be the case. But I will say it's just a lot of women are feeling the same way about not wanting to get married or whatever the case is for whatever reason, and it just needs to be fixed. We need to,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's say men or women that's not wanting to get married, it doesn't matter which side doesn't want to get married. What matters is it's the problem. The institution of marriage has been destroyed. That's the problem because Rome was destroyed from within.
Well, let me ask you a quick question on that. In the policies of the United States, what party is, in your opinion, would you say is destroying the institution of marriage?
Most definitely the Democratic Party.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to be sure.
I feel the Democratic Party is really destroying the country. And I stopped voting 2 elections ago. I'm 61. I'll be 62 in August. I've voted every year since I was 18. That was when Reagan came into office. I've voted every year. I voted Democrat. And even when I was living outside of the country, I went to the embassy and voted. That's how much I was for it. But the last 3 elections, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. I just opted out.
Let me answer this. Jay Bubba, if I didn't already, how you doing? He says, what do you think about the Boule attack on Misha Manor? So she is I guess she was a representative, House representative, was in Georgia somewhere, where she switched parties from being a Democrat to the Republicans, and the Democrats have been, on her bumper. Brother Phil has been doing a good job of covering that as well. I'm not surprised. If y'all follow Ice Cube on Twitter, for the last week, he has been going hard in the paint against Democrats, or people keep accusing him of wanting to work with Trump and all kind of stuff. And he's just now saying, I don't care. He calling people everything but the child of God. And you know what? I'm not mad at him, because it's like, y'all taking my kindness for weakness. If you know anything about Ice Cube, he is about that life, right? I think he just stopped trying to be diplomatic and, okay, I'm going to be the one with some sense. He's like, nah, y'all going to get the old Cube, okay? Y'all going to get the NWA Cube, and that's what they've been getting. And I love it. But I'm not surprised that they're doing that to her. And it's probably a lot of white Democrats that are doing that to her, as long as she was there for the Democrats to do the bidding, because they know most black politicians, they don't go to help black people. They go help everybody else. And, now they feel like she's going to help the Republicans. And not only that, she's like telling black people, hey, re-examine your relationship with the Democrats. Should you really be aligned to that party? So, they're not doing anything for us. So maybe you should think about making an exodus as well. So I'm not mad at her.
Right. And, a lot of people don't understand what she was upset about in regards. She wanted black people to have the choice of taking their kids and getting vouchers to go to schools that are successful. They want the black children to stay in the failing schools. This is the Democratic Party saying, no, you stay right there. No, y'all good right there. But you're letting the other kids, the Republicans are like, well, if the school is failing, I want my kid to have excellence. Here's a voucher, you go over here. But they don't want, I mean, and if you really look at the madness in our psyche, in our community, we are fighting to have our kids stay in failing schools because we don't know all of the facts. The lady was like, look, I'm here for my people to do better, to represent them, to do better. That's what we want. Then she does it and they attack her for trying to look out for all of these people's children. It's just ridiculous. And I applauded her when she went to the Republican Party. And notice that they welcomed her with open arms. They're like, yes, come on over, blah, blah, blah. If we could agree on this, no problem. We might not agree on any of it. And this is what some of the Republicans said. We might not agree on anything else. But as a mother and a family-oriented person, you want your kids to go to a better school. Why shouldn't black people, if you had an opportunity to go to Harvard, to send your children to Harvard, why wouldn't you do it? To Princeton, to HBCU, if you could do that on a tax voucher, why wouldn't you do that? No, they want our kids to stay in these failing schools so that we can complete the cycle of stupidity that's within our community.
Yeah. And it's plantation mentality. Oh, you got off the plantation. Well, we're going to punish you. We're going to chop off your foot, or whatever, because you don't want to be here no more. It's like, well, we living in this democracy. So y'all say that y'all trying to protect. I mean, shouldn't I be able to have a say so in what party I go serve? I mean, do I have to be a Democrat for life? Like, what are we doing here? And Brother Samuel says, we want to remind everybody, it's cheaper to keep her. I'm just putting that out there,
when Ice Cube went to, I think it was Fox Soul or whatever, and he was with the Vivica Fox and the other women that were on the panel. And the first thing they said when he talked about his contract with Black America, which I didn't agree with everything in the contract. It was too, I'm a musician, okay? And it was too weighted towards the entertainment sector. So I didn't agree with everything. But what really bothered me was when those ladies said, and what about black women? And I'm like, well, you're black, aren't you? Why are you doing that?
You went out.
Well, one of the reasons that they're doing that is women, especially feminism, has now mutated to where black women think that they're their own group now.
Yeah.
Did you see what I'm saying? I mean, they've mutated into that to where, well, we're not with black men. We're our own separate thing because we're successful. We're this, we're that, whatever they want to believe, delusional, whatever they want to believe, they think that they're a separate group. So they should have separate, things to it. That's all that came out to, because like you said, if you're black and you're a black woman, it applies to you too.
Well,
that's how I felt, but
But let me make a clarification here. When you say black women, let's be specific. It ain't all black women that feel that way. And I saw the interview with Ice Cube and the queens of Fox cocktails or whatever the hell they call themselves. And I just thought it was absolutely outrageous. And I think Ice Cube, he was trying to be respectful because he was like, you black people, what are we doing here? And he says, well, then y'all write it and I'll help y'all write it, but they kept getting snarky and stupid. If I was him, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, click up. I'm out of here. I'm like, I'm not going to entertain y'all foolishness. Like, what did y'all bring me on here for, to try to make it seem like I'm a bad guy because I didn't specifically say women? Now, I did read Contract of Black America, and he mentioned some entertainment stuff, but it wasn't heavy on the entertainment. I think it was well-rounded. He covered, everything from education, the housing, the money, and, and a whole host of things. So I didn't see it as being heavy on the entertainment. I think it probably stood out because he did mention the entertainment aspect. I think it was like owning your masters and having a little bit more say-so in the industry and things like that. But I that may be just my interpretation. I didn't see it as it was like, well, this is for my homies, because you got to look at the entity of Ice Cube. Ice Cube was worth a lot of money. And Ice Cube said, like, yeah, I didn't have to do this for me. He says, but I was doing this for one, for my people, and to secure a legacy for my grandchildren, and so on and so forth. And it's not right what has been happening with black people. Like, we need stuff, right? So Ice Cube was going to be all right. So I didn't see that as like a personal grab for him and his.
I wasn't criticizing it because of that, because like I said, I'm a musician, so I wasn't criticizing. It's just that when he was saying it on TV, that was what shined a lot. And, all of us aren't musicians, but I don't think that it was, I thought it was good. And I thought it was unfair that these ladies attacked him on that television show.
Yeah, real quick, yesterday we were talking about the young lady that is being held in Dubai in regards to yelling and things like that, which is it's still a pretty up there topic. We have a friend in the chat. I don't know if she left or not, but Miss Anita, she went over to Ghana and she got her dual citizenship there. And I wanted to ask her a question, Miss Anita, if you're still on the chat. When you were over there, as you know, it's Ghana. The rules are a little bit different than you did here. How did you navigate in dealing with the different culture there?
So you said she's in the chat. Also, yeah. I kind of want to talk about something that I've seen too, and maybe you guys have seen it as well. Carly Russell, the young lady that went missing last week. She said she saw the baby on the freeway, and then she stopped, and I guess she was kidnapped or something. And a car was running. They found her, belongings and stuff. And 48 hours later, she appeared at her house. They said she walked from wherever and went home. But there's a lot of conversation about whether she was telling the truth or not. I've seen a lot of people liken her to Jussie Smollett. He lied, said he was a Trump attacked by Trump supporters or whatever. And so some people are saying they don't believe her story. They believe she's lying because whatever happened to the baby, people are more concerned about her than the whereabouts of this baby that she says she saw. Of course, people, I guess, are going off of the footage that they saw on the freeway where they did see her slow down, but there was no, I guess, from what they could tell, image of a baby anywhere. So a lot of people seem like they've kind of turned on her, calling her a liar. Now, I want to say this. I don't know if she's lying or not lying. I'm just, right now I could take her at her word. She, kidnapped and the kidnappers are still out there. But I guess what I want to know specifically is how do we get to a point to where we're, oh my God, let's find her. Hope she's found okay. Hope she's safe. And then when she's found, it's like, well, we don't believe you was kidnapped. Some people said they think the boyfriend had something to do with it. He had to write a statement saying, listen, I have nothing to do with it, or whatever. So how do we get there?
I think she should have come out and explained exactly what happened. I mean, we were left to our own devices to discuss what happened. So of course we're going to be like, well, you didn't, you told us everything before it happened. Now that you walk back home, where did you walk from? What did he look like, or they look like? What happened to the baby? No, we don't get any of that. So of course they're going to think that she's lying.
But let me ask you this. Now we're gonna do a stretch, and we're gonna do a little bit of stretching. Why do we feel that we are? And I guess I kind of get where you're going with it, because a lot of people shared, "Hey, find her," and it was really invested into what's going on with her. But why do we feel that we are owed an explanation, especially if something really graphic happened to her, which maybe kind of sounds like maybe it did, because they said she was hospitalized and her parents said that she was in bad shape when she got home. So I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just asking, why do we feel like we need to know everything that happened with her?
Oh, I didn't know that she was hospitalized. I didn't hear that part. So you have a point. I mean, if she was something terrible happened to her, we're not owed that whole scenario.
But I get where you're going, though. I get where you're going. It's like, okay, well, y'all gonna give us a little bit, because the parents did do an interview, NBC or something, and they basically they didn't say much. They just said that I guess Carly has heard the I guess the backlash online that about maybe she's lying and this, that, and the other. And the mom says, well, the kidnapper, which they were asked, is the kidnapper still out there? And they said, oh yeah, of course, or something like that. So I think a lot of people's like, you know what I mean? And then some other people took exception to, like, well, your daughter was just, kidnapped. And I'm just telling y'all what I heard. I'm not saying these are my personal opinions. She was just kidnapped. How do you find the scrimp? Yes, I said scrimp. To get on the news and talk about it. You know what I mean? Because some people are saying if it was my daughter or whatever, I wouldn't want to talk to nobody. I'll be wanting to make sure that my daughter was good and this, that, and the other. So why are you doing an interview? And Kimmy, you raised a good question. I wonder how nobody else saw a kid. There was a whole lot of traffic, and you're right. There was a lot of traffic.
All women need to be believed. Y'all just don't understand how women have to do what we got to do. Because
wait. But wait, hold on. I get where you're going. You being funny, and it's on the surface, it's funny, but I don't want to necessarily joke about it too much, because there's a strong possibility that she's telling the truth, right? Now, I will say, before I saw the footage of the freeway, I was thinking maybe she was just kind of out there and podunk some doggone where it was one dirt road, right? That's kind of what I was thinking. But then when I saw the video, I was like, yeah, there's a lot of cars out there. It was just constant traffic, constant. So I was like, well, that's weird, because, and I'm not saying, I'm just, putting my untrained eye. How is it that she saw a child and nobody else did? Like, what was it that caught her eye that made her focus on the child that had a diaper on, from what I guess she was saying, but nobody else has made a report of seeing a child on the freeway? That's kind of where I'm like,
that's the weird part.
It is weird,
Yeah.
And as some other people have said, why isn't there an effort to try to find the child? Because authorities are saying, well, to our knowledge, nobody has reported a missing child. But then if you're thinking on the other side of it, it's like, well, maybe the child, let's say she's telling the truth. Now, I'm not saying she's not. Maybe the child was bait used by the people who took her. So maybe that child belonged to them, hence why they didn't report a child missing. So there's a lot of levels to this. But I just find it kind of weird that people are like, yeah, now she's lying. I ain't believing it. I hope she's not lying. I also saw a conversation saying, oh, it's going to be really bad for Black people if she's lying. It's like, really bad in comparison to what? Because white people lie all the time. Y'all remember Susan Smith? She drove her children off into a river and then blamed the Black man. She blamed the black man because she's trying to go be with a dude somewhere and he didn't want kids. She lied and had everybody looking for a Negro. And they, gaffled up a whole bunch of black men on the strength of her lying. And of course, it came out that she was lying. And I think she got out not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken, but she served a lot of years. So the point that I'm making is it's not going to look bad on black people. I mean, it's going to look bad if we keep on making it a conversation, but do we really care what they think about us?
Well, here's the crazy thing. Manson follower, I think her name is Susan Van Houten, whatever. She recently got out.
Linda. I think it was Linda or something like that.
Linda Van Houten, whatever her name is. Leslie Van Houten recently got out. But, and this is just my opinion and how I feel. If that was a black gang of women that did that and did those murders and stuff like that, it's life. Those people ain't getting out. But white woman, oh yeah, she's been in there for 30. Let her out now. She's been punished. Let her out.
And the thing we got to remember too is with the Manson family murders or helter skelter, however you want to reference it, the laws were different back then. So those people were sentenced to like 10 to life, 15 to life, right? That was before they had the 25 to life or the mandatory life sentences. And so that's where the what am I trying to say? Just get my mind. The parole hearings. That's where those are always granted. But the families, Sharon Tate's family to be specific, they would always show up and say no. They being the women that and as a man too that did the murders, because Charlie Manson did not do one murder. He did not lift a finger and do anything to anybody, but they gave him something in life too, because he was the mastermind. In fact, he was so masterful in mind control that they wouldn't even put him next to anybody in a jail cell or in prison, because they felt like he could manipulate people to do stuff because he was just that good. They also said that many inmates were like, hell to the no. I don't want to be nowhere around him because he's, really scary. But we should also say too, some Charlie Manson and his cult, they did not like black people. The premise of what they were doing was to start a race war. That's what they were trying to do. They were actually trying to get the public to believe that black people did those murders to start a race war. So
he was a small man too. He was not big.
Yeah. But what did we do? All these people hating on us. I mean, what did we do?
This is biblical. This is actually biblical. And I'm going to say something, and I won't bring it up again. We are the Hebrews of the Bible, and we're paying for not being obedient.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, think about this, though. See, and I'm a Catholic, so people say that all the time. But I'm like, the people that are running amok all over this planet and destroying it definitely ain't black people. So how much payment are we going to pay?
I'm just saying, I mean, we can take it for what it is, but we must have done something terrible, just not being obedient, because this was all supposed to be for us. And we did something. Okay, oh, you're not going to obey me? Here you go.
Lord, my Savior, it was her. She bit the apple. It's her fault. Take her up out of here.
Yeah, but you were supposed to be you were supposed to be above her and not paying attention, not listening to her.
I was in the field working. She was over here in the garden. I was in the field.
Now you was somewhere slacking off, looking at big booty, Bathsheba or something over there, and you got caught up.
And see, when you say that, there goes the there goes the discrepancies. I thought that Adam and Eve were the first ones. Where did Bathsheba come from?
Right. I mean, right.
Yeah.
And Common Man, how you doing? It says because she put herself out there, and we have enough black women who disappear for real. It wouldn't be good if she's lying. And you know what? I want to totally agree with you on that. It's not good because a lot of black women, she's lucky that she got the attention that she did. I just think it was so dynamic as to how it happened, right? But you're right. A lot of Black women and Black people in general, because they always tell us, oh, there's this amount of Black women and children missing, but there's just as many Black men missing. But for whatever reason, that doesn't get talked about. So there's a lot of missing Black people. And yeah, she's lying. It's gonna be hard to get that type of attention. And so, Easy, I saw that you said that the police are questioning her story as well. One thing for sure is they may not get to the bottom of white people lying right away, but they gonna get to the bottom of it. Is she lying? Because they expended a lot of resources, and they'll spend a lot of money trying to find a submarine, because of some good white people and rich people on there. But a negress that came up missing, and God forbid she lying, and they spent that kind of money. Oh yeah, we gonna, just like with Jussie Smollett, they found him guilty, so it'll come out.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's a terrible thing because there's a lot. I live in Austin, but I'm from Maryland, and up in Maryland and DC, there's so many Black women that wind up missing every year. Every year, from when I say Black women, I'm talking about from 13 on up. Just wind up missing, and they don't have any Amber Alert for them.
Absolutely. And let me say this, Leotis, how are you doing? He says, see, the Carly Russell disappearance is a prime example of how we can turn on our own people, and the powers that be loves the fact that we could tear our own people and community down. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we should at least wait until they come with something, conclusive that, yep, she was telling the truth or she was not telling the truth. But all that discourse online, I don't believe her. It's like all of a sudden you got all these, private eyes out there who, they got the intel of whether she was telling the truth or not. It's like, just be quiet. Anita, how are you doing, beautiful?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yes, Anita just had a birthday. She turned 28. Out there celebrating.
What's on your mind? You gonna answer Donovan's question?
Yes, I wanted you to answer this question because my apologies, it wasn't Ghana, it was Sierra Leone. She went out there last year. Now, Anita, you heard about the young lady that is in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. Sorry, not Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and she's been held because she was yelling in public and stuff. What is your take in regards to women traveling, especially as an American woman? And you went over there. Did you have any problems in regards to adjusting to the manosphere over there or the patriarchy over there?
I'll say no. The reason being is because I didn't just go by myself. I was with the organization. So I wasn't alone per se. I'm not sure about this young lady, like the specifics behind it, but the organization that I was with kind of debriefed me pretty well as I did my research before I went over there. And when it came to navigating like the marketplace and things like that, I had a tour guide, and most of the time they were male. And they were the ones that were pretty much speaking on my behalf because one, I wasn't completely familiar with the language. And two, I look like I'm American, So when I went over there, they, in their culture, I'm considered the white girl. Really? Because of my skin complexion. Yeah. So, yeah, I look American and I sound American. Even when I try to speak their language, I sound like I'm American. And so, they can easily take advantage if they know that you're American because you're not necessarily familiar completely with the culture. But again, I was pretty insulated because I was there with an organization and I always had somebody with me.
Have you heard of this incident with this young lady that's in Dubai and stuff? Because, number one, when I saw the video where she's talking about I'm going to be the first woman truck driver in Dubai, delusional. They don't want their women driving trucks in Dubai. That's not going to happen. I don't know what she thought she was doing.
I've heard of the young lady, and I'm a little familiar with the culture because a previous employer that I worked with, they had recently opened a school in Saudi Arabia, and I had applied to work at that particular school. So I did a lot of research regarding the culture, as well as I talked to some people that were over there, and they're very, the women are very modest, even on the I don't want to call it a base, but the area where the Americans are. Because you're American, you can kind of get away with maybe not wearing the head wrap, but you still are supposed to be dressed moderately. You are still supposed to obey the cultural norms, like they have prayer. You're still supposed to observe all of the ways of the culture. And you're not exempt just because you're American.
Right. So basically, she was charged with yelling in public. As an American woman who's traveled, what is your thought in regards to that law? Do you think that law is just? Do you think it's fair? Does it matter? Well, what do you think?
Of course, from an American perspective, of course, I'm going to say, no, that's not fair. But again, if you put it in cultural context, where their women are supposed to be subservient and submissive and just what's involved in their culture, I mean, that's how they roll over there. I mean, I don't think it was right. The man yelled at her and she was naturally reacting back, but in their culture, you're not supposed to do that. So yeah, from an American westernized point of view, I'm like, I can't, hell yeah, I might have went off too. But again, in their culture, you gotta know how to button your lip so you don't end up out of place like her right now. So
yeah. And of course, we talked about this on Sunday. I mean, it's just really, as we said, a matter of controlling yourself, I mean, even if you're in a grocery store, Walmart here in America, somebody wants to get crunk and disorderly with you, sometimes you have to say, you know what, I could, but I'm not, I could get just as snappy and clappy too, but I'm going to walk on out of this Walmart and intact. And because my thing is this, nowadays, I'd be worried about somebody getting me on video, right? I'm getting me on video and be like, Demetra K over there wild, and or something like that. So that's kind of what it has me, because I got some sense, but I think we should all think about that. I might be on camera wilding out, acting crazy, then I get all on TikTok and I go viral for being an idiot. But I don't know. They got their rules over there, but I just think even here we should be a little bit more reserved, and I know I'm probably gonna get in some trouble. It wouldn't be the first time, but women, and I don't want to say this in totality, like we should be like our grandmothers and our mamas were, because they have some issues too. But I'm saying back then, they were like, women were supposed to be meek, mild. Now, meek does not mean weak. It means be soft spoken. Because y'all know I'm loud here, but when I'm in public, I'm not loud, right? You soft spoken and you ladylike and all of that. If a man is getting froggy with you, you got, count the cost. Okay. I don't know what kind of food this really is. I return the energy. He could do something to me. And, I'm a lady. If it's really that egregious what he's doing, let me go get my man. Let me get my daddy. Or what, depending on what it is, let me call the police, right? But especially in somebody else's country and something. Listen, there is no doubt in my mind that that man was acting the absolute worst with her. I totally believe he was doing it. I don't think he was, oh, ma'am, I'm so, what? Oh, don't yell at me. I don't think he was doing that. I think he was, really probably talking to her crazy. But that's when she should have just counted the cost. He acted stupid. I ain't gonna go there with him because he got the upper hand here. And now that's having some wearing thought. Okay, before I travel to Dubai, what kind of laws are there that I might want to make sure, you know what I mean? Now, I don't know if anybody would have known that, but to me, it's common sense. Don't be out in public hollering and acting stupid. For the life of me, I hate to see anybody do it, but I really hate to see my sisters do it. I really hate that because it's like, what you're doing don't have a reflection on me because I don't know you, but it is a little bit embarrassing. And it's like, you don't know no better. Nobody taught you any differently. You know what I mean? So it again, as I said, being quiet don't mean you're wrong. It just means you button my lip.
Right, and then let me follow up, Dimitri. You put up a video in regards to a performer. Ugly Red is her name. What's the girl's name?
Sexy Red.
Oh, okay. I don't even know. Sexy Red. Now, Anita, Anita's an old friend of the show and everything like that. Anita's been around a while, and she's an educator. And Anita, I'm going to ask you this. Dimitri put up a video in regards to Ugly Red. Was invited to a school and performed. Do you know who Sexy Red is?
I heard of her.
She's the girl that I guess famous
the girl
for the
at
song.
BET that showed her.
Yeah, Pound Town. She's famous for that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe she performed Pound Town at the school. Now, as an educator and a teacher, what is your thoughts on that?
Oh, and let me just say before she gets so. I saw different stories that she didn't actually do it, and I saw some that she did do it. So it's kind of this year.
Okay.
Nevertheless, she went into that school, flipped the bird, and was scantily clad at a high school or whatever. So go ahead.
Honestly, she kind of goes against everything that you try to teach in school about being decent, about being decent, being articulate. But it's just it's one of those things. Like she's like, she goes against everything that every educator probably teaches in school. Number one. Number two, why was she allowed to even come to the school to perform? I mean, that's just my thoughts. Like, I don't agree with it. I don't think there's a time and place for it. School isn't one of them.
The kind of stuff that we're teaching our children. So it's kind of crazy.
Like, you can't expect them to, try to set them up for success for some educators, and then, oh, well, yeah, let's go. And, you allow her in here. And it's kind of, I guess, again, when I was in school, when we had guests, when we had people that came to visit the school, they were supposed to be somewhat inspirational, some people that you want to look up to be like. And I guess if that's, I hate to say it, if that's what they want our kids to growing up as, unfortunately, it's because the administration had to approve it. The superintendent had to approve it.
Yes, indeed. Black America, what? I'm just playing. How you doing?
I come to bring you some smoke again. I'm sorry. You have been hurting my heart. I don't know what's going on with you. You're hurting me. So now you want us to believe that this girl went over there and and that the man was talking to her and was cutting up, and she wasn't cutting up. Or
No, no, no.
she
That's
just
not what.
she just gave him back.
So that's not what I said. I said there's no doubt in my mind, and again, of course, I wasn't there. So I'm just saying I strongly believe he was doing the most, right? Because it happens, especially with a lot of men from other countries, especially when it comes to women. I've had that encounter. But what I'm saying
Right.
is, and I don't know what her behavior was, but I'm saying in that moment, because I saw somebody say maybe she was dressed like a 304, maybe he didn't like it. But whatever it was, in that moment, she had an opportunity to stand down. And she didn't take that out. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she wasn't doing anything. I don't know what she was doing before that. But for what the story was, he yelled at her, and they said it was on video, by the way. And then she got the yelling back, and I guess it was some sort of a shouting match. So all I'm saying is she should have de-escalated the situation. And I hate to say this, but took the verbal abuse to get back home. That's my stance. So no, I'm not saying she didn't do anything per se. I'm saying she didn't do enough to not be in a Dubai jail as we speak. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So I got a question. Have you ever went to an impound to get anything out of your car after an accident? Has anybody ever went? And I've got several. They always charge to get in your car and get anything. You want some paperwork or anything out of your car, there's always a charge. And you're right. She didn't de-escalate because I don't think for the most part our women, especially our young women, they know how to de-escalate anymore because they are never held accountable for any of their actions. So they don't have to de-escalate. They can go hard in the paint every time. You see what I mean? And it's bad. So now we're going to jump off that. So I'm gonna go to this other one about the little girl that came up missing. You ready to switch streams and get mad at me? All right. So we all know all throughout history. We all know all throughout history, bad things have always happened, right? Women and men, it doesn't matter. Bad things always happen. And when a young lady comes up missing, you can ask the other men on the panel, if a man is to do something egregious to a woman and take her out like that, most times she's not going to come back in one piece, being able to walk home. That's what everybody is saying. She lying, which she disappeared. I knew that something was fake or phony because for one, she's 25 years old. She's too old to try and turn into a trend. Okay, she's too old, too smart.
Brother Black America, you're kind of coming in and out, so I don't know if maybe you are in a bad area or you're on a speakerphone.
Oh, you can't hear me?
We can hear you much better now.
Okay. She's too old for anybody to let's say kidnap and do anything with. She's way past the age of somebody actually trying to turn her out or turn her into something. So if somebody did take her and do something horrible, believe me, I will have my pitchfork and my lighter and my hot curling iron to stick up their ass and turn on. I'll be in front of the pack. But other than that, so that's why a lot of people believe she's lying.
Oh, Lord, the misinformation that just went forth right now. So people from all age brackets get trafficked, get kidnapped. And I don't know if y'all know this, they sex traffic men too, grown men. I have heard stories of grown men being sex trafficked. You know how? You at a bar. And this was his story, at a bar with, talking to the ladies, and next thing he know, he tied up somewhere, getting injected with drugs and being turned out, because there is a market out there for everything and everybody. So the point of me telling you that very graphic story is because it's not just a girl of a certain age or a boy of a certain age. Hell, they sex trafficking grandmamas out there. So we got to be careful. And I get it. Some people feel a little bit salty about that young lady because they feel like she's duped people. I don't know. I hope she didn't. We're going with the story that we hear right now. So I get it. Some people feel a certain type of way about her. But Black America, as much as I love you, we got to be careful not to spread misinformation, because we don't want to teach people that, like, say, if a grown person goes missing, that, oh, ain't nobody kidnapped them. They just probably off just tricking off somewhere, or they doing something they ain't supposed to be doing, because people get taken all from everywhere, all walks of life. So, and I know you know that, but we got to be careful.
Oh, okay. So, I'm gonna have to give you a little pushback again. I'm sorry. Are you saying people are taking grown men and doing things to them? And yeah, okay. So and grandmothers and grandmothers.
There's a market out there.
Listen, this is.
I'm not even that well versed on the trafficking market, but I know enough to know that people have a thing for all kinds of people. That's just like the old thought process of, don't leave your daughters around your boyfriends. Don't leave your daughters around strange men. Watch your daughters, your daughters, your daughters, your daughters. But they left off the conversation about your sons. And I've spoken to a copious amount of grown men that were violated in the worst way by their mama's boyfriends, because the conversation was always, watch your daughters, make sure your daughters are okay. But we weren't having those conversations about there's some evil people out there, men and women, that are looking and preying on boys too. So when we move the conversation to older people, there's a market for everything. And there's a lot of men out there who have that, oh, I ain't gonna happen to me, or I don't do that to men. They say that even they'll
Demetrius, right.
Yeah, they'll prick you with a needle, and and the next thing you know, you sprawled out somewhere. And what the game is, what they do in a lot of cases, they snatch people, inject them, get them all hopped up and addicted to drugs, and they turn them out. And so eventually they won't leave, right? Because they're hooked on, drugs and all that other stuff. There's a lot to go into it. So what I'm saying to you is, please don't be under the belief that grown men are not targets of that too. They are.
Okay. So what I'm going to say is about the boys. Yes, I'm going to say 100% adolescent boys. And believe me, those people are detestable. And brother man, you can agree with Dimitri all you want, but a grown man, listen, I am in the underbelly of our society. That does not happen at all. We would.
You haven't heard of escolamine? It's a plant where the powder, they'll give it to you and you won't even know what happened to you. You might wake up 2 days later wondering where you are.
Right. Escolamine, psilocybin, you know what I mean? I'm trying to tell you, people, if something happens like that to a man, you're going to find him in pieces. Because they're going to take things out of his body and things of that nature. You're not going to find him able to come back and walk home. I'll just say that. That does not happen and if somebody does that to a woman, they're going to violate her But for the most part, when they do violate her, you will not find her in a very good condition. She won't be walking when you do find her. We have many cases all over the country every day of this happening, you know, what you saying, people getting took and coming up missing, and they don't find these people either in one piece or breathing. So, you know, like I said, if she got blessed, you know, we had a little girl, 12 years old, get away from a kidnapper the other day. You had another little six-year-old black girl chew through the ropes. Girls and women do get away. We gangster with it. But a lot of times when people get to carry out a process and you're gone for more than about 12 hours, if you're gone for more than about 12 hours, bro, you are gone. Nobody's going to see you again in most cases.
So listen, I don't think the argument is whether they're going to come back or not. They may never come back. And in a lot of cases, you're right, they don't come back. But I think the argument is that they get taken in the first place. Grown men, big, burly, you know, grown men who, you know, you wouldn't think that would happen to, but it happened. So I'm just saying all that to say, let's not be under the notion that it's just a certain demographic that's happening to. It's happening to everybody. It could happen to somebody's granddaddy. And the other cases that I found, and you know, I'm sure there's a lot of men who have heard these stories, and maybe it has happened too. A lot of men will never tell because they're a man. They've been taught you're a man. If something like that happens to you, then something wrong with you. Did you ask for it, and you must be that way. I had a man tell me years ago that happened to him, and he was like, I was conflicted. I couldn't tell. He said it was his uncle that did that to him for years. And he said he couldn't tell his dad because he knew his dad would kill him. And so he was just kind of like, what do I do type of thing, right? And he said he finally said something when the uncle was murdered somehow, some way. But he said it was shame. I just felt like people were going to be like, well, what did you do? It must have been, you must have wanted it type of thing, right? So we got to be careful that we don't put that kind of information out there because there's people definitely, you know, have some pretty heinous things happen to them.
Cardi B admitted to drugging men and having them raped by other men. And none of these men reported what she did.
And why? And then mostly they probably never would, right? Like, oh,
come on, bro, that's a lie. Let's stop that. Let's stop that right there. That's not. No, she said she drugged them and robbed them, not raped them. Come on, bro. You got, like I said.
As well, Black America. I've heard that story as well.
She drugged them and robbed them, but she also admitted that she drugged them and left them with a trans man to deal with them. She said that came out of her mouth.
I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it. So. Whew. And I'm reading you guys' comments, so I don't want y'all to think that I'm ignoring you. CBE says there have been numerous accounts of people escaping kidnapping of all ranges, people that have been held captive for years, decades, even in you saying you live, work in the underbelly, right? We see stories all the time of people who got gaffled up for 30 years and then finally they escape. And then they could tell their story. Y'all remember the story of Steven Stainer? It was a story like back in the 80s. I need a story back in the 80s. Is a little white boy that was missing. He was kidnapped years and years and years. Nobody knew where he was. And some man, you know, I don't think they probably live in a different city or whatever. Some man took him. And, you know, did whatever he wanted to do to him for years. And finally, somehow he escaped and his people found him, you know, thinking that they thought maybe he was gone for good. And then he, you know, surfaced one day. He unfortunately, you know, died. I think he got hit by a car or something crazy. And when he was an adult.
But we have to go back to that. That was a child. Like I said, an adolescent. You know what? Find me a story. Or I'm going to look for it tonight. Find me a story of a grown man that has been kidnapped and resurfaced. That wasn't for a ransom, behind some drugs, behind messing with somebody's wife or something like that. Find me that story.
You trolling us? Are you trolling?
I'm. You know I'm not no troll. You the only one I've ever showed my face to. You know I'm not a troll. Find me the story of a man. I just don't. Adolescent male, yes. R. Kelly, I understand it. It even happened to a male in my family. And so, yes, I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm talking about a grown man. Find me a story of a grown man, an old man that has been kidnapped and turned out and then set free.
The crazy part about what you asking is probably a Google search away. It probably really is. I bet you somebody right now could Google and find 10 stories at least of the same exact scenario that you just presented to be false.
Probably.
And I told you I worked in law enforcement. I've witnessed that it's happened. I'm not going to Google search it and try to find examples. You don't have to believe me, but trust me, it happens. You don't have to believe it, you know.
And Sun Kisser makes a good point. Your ancestors, that happened too. You know what I mean? So it's like, I hear what you're saying. In a perfect world, that doesn't happen to me. In a perfect world,
we never return back to Africa. There is no return. There's no coming back from certain things. That's what I'm telling you. You know what? I'm gonna look for a story. I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna go through the archives and see what I can dig up tonight.
And when you come back and report your findings,
Kunta Kinte.
Brother, we talking about real people.
I'm trolling now. I'm sorry.
We ain't talking about something fictional. I'm talking about because I'm on the streets.
Did you just say fictional?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you believe that Roots was a real story?
And let me say this, since y'all brought up Roots, we about to get out of here too. But yeah, Roots is considered to probably be not real. In fact, Alex Haley was sued for plagiarism by a white man, and the white man won in a court of law because it was found that, from what they said, that Alex Haley did plagiarize the story of Roots. Should also be known that Alex Haley was worked for the FBI or CIA or something like that. So then you think about the autobiography as told by Alex Haley of Malcolm X, then you question some of the things that was in that book as well. So I say it all that to say, Alex Haley was found to be plagiarizing, and he had some questionable background. So Roots was probably not real. But it made for good television, I guess.
I admitted I was trolling. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And we love you nevertheless. That's okay, Anita. We love and appreciate you for coming on here. So anyway, y'all, we're gonna get out of here and go take a break, right? So we love it.
Thank you for allowing me up here. I love you guys and I have a good time.
Always thank you. Come back and see us.
All right, thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna look for kidnapped, raped grown men over 25 tonight and see what I come up with. Besides what someone on the street might, like I said, it happens for certain reasons that things like that happen. But most of the time, you won't find those people in one piece or standing upright after something like that happens. And so I'm
gonna do you. I'm a research with you. See if I can find something.
Well, I'm telling you guys this: be very, very careful, because according to Shirley Strawberry's husband, he didn't know how that little piece of picture got on his computer. Now he's got a charge for.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, better be careful.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be careful. We love and appreciate every last one of y'all. We will be back tomorrow with Walter. Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. It's always a riot. If you guys want to donate to the channel, please do so. We love and appreciate you. Love and appreciate the members. Everybody who likes, subscribes, and donates, and everything that you do. We cannot do this show without you. So until tomorrow, peace.